Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The Democratic debate, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. In just a few moments, Donald Trump will analyze what happened last night. But as Mr. Trump might say, Hillary Clinton won. That I can tell you. She destroyed her main competition, Bernie Sanders, on the gun issue. Senator Sanders from Vermont, a gun-loving state, has not aggressively fought for gun control, something the left fervently wants.
Senator Sanders did vote 5 times against the Brady bill. Since it was passed, more than 2 million prohibited purchases have been prevented. He also did vote, as he said, for this immunity provision. Everybody else has to be accountable, but not the gun manufacturers. And we need to stand up and say enough of that.
The play here is this. If the federal government ever allows lawsuits against gun makers, that would destroy the entire industry, as liberal lawyers would sue them into bankruptcy. That's how the left wants to get around the Second Amendment, just so you know. On other issues, the debate was a stalemate. But I couldn't understand the lack of foreign policy questions by CNN. I mean, Mrs. Clinton owns much of the foreign policy debacle that has unfolded. But questions about ISIS, for example, were few.
I will do everything that I can to make sure that the United States does not get involved in another quagmire like we did in Iraq.
We don't want American troops on the ground in Syria. What I said was we had to put together a coalition.
Now, whenever you hear the word coalition, you know nothing will be done. Nothing. That's code. Kind of like comprehensive immigration reform. That's code for amnesty. Last night, it was apparent that neither Sanders nor Clinton have any intention of aggressively confronting ISIS, just like President Obama. On the economy, however, none of the Democrats on stage would criticize President Obama directly, but all of them are not happy about the situation.
Middle class of this country is collapsing. We have 27 million people living in poverty.
This inequality challenge we face, we have faced it at other points. It's absolutely right. It hasn't been this bad since the 1920s. America's been knocked down. And although we've made progress, we're standing but not running the way America needs to.
So whose fault is that? Who's been in office for 7 years? Why didn't CNN ask that follow-up question? Finally, the email deal was also played down, but here, a rehearsed answer stirred up the crowd.
Let me say something that may not be great politics, but I think the secretary is right. And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
They're sick and tired of hearing about it. Hey, Bernie, the email controversy goes to honesty and accountability. Maybe you haven't heard, Senator, but the FBI is investigating. I hope the Bureau is not sick and tired of it. As the Factor reported last night, the Democratic Party strongly urged the debaters behind the scenes not to attack the frontrunner, Mrs. Clinton. And they did not. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight reaction. Joining us from his campaign headquarters in New York City, Republican presidential contender Donald Trump. Now, you were tweeting during the debate. Can you tweet and watch at the same time? Is that possible?
Well, I had plenty of time because that was a pretty boring debate, but I did and picked up, like I hear, 160,000 followers last night. So a lot of people were listening, which is great as far as I'm concerned.
Did you actually watch the debate, though?
I did. I actually did. I felt I had an obligation. I would have rather have watched other things, to be honest, but I have an obligation because I may be running against one of those folks. And you know, you can't go 2 hours. It's not that long a period of time. I will say that CNN did not hit them like they hit us. They didn't make them fight. And there was very little fight in the group, Bill.
Yeah, and I just told you why. They were ordered not to by Debbie Wasserman Schultz's team. And, you know, orders is too strong a word. They were advised not to, because none of them are going to win. They all know they're not going to win. And they would like to have a role in the Democratic Party going forward. That's not like the Republican field where anybody could win. Now, I'm surprised you didn't watch the Mets get pounded last night. You did watch the 2 hours. In your opinion, did Hillary Clinton win as I believe she did?
She did what she had to do. I thought she won. I thought actually she was pretty effective. He was not strong. He gave up one of the strongest points, the emails. As you know, he gave that up, totally gave it up. It's gone, even though the FBI is investigating. And I don't know why he did it. He did it for a soundbite. And actually, she was the big beneficiary, much more so than him. He got a nice applause line, but in the end, I think he gave up a very powerful point. And it almost looked like maybe he doesn't want to win, because that was a very, very powerful thing to give up so easily.
Now, were you surprised, as I was, there was no ISIS stuff in there? I mean, we got Putin running Syria. And your solution to Syria is kind of controversial. Let Putin fight it out with the various factions inside the country. But Putin, de facto is running that country now with an assist from the Iranians. Pretty much a dangerous situation. ISIS is now expanded to Afghanistan. They're all over the place, committing horror after horror after horror. And CNN doesn't really quiz them about it, doesn't ask any questions about the migrant influx into Europe, which is a catastrophe, a humanitarian catastrophe. I was surprised they stayed away from that. Were you?
And very little on the horrible treatment that our vets are receiving. Our veterans are being treated terribly, and yet they're talking about the illegal immigrants getting college education and getting all sorts of things. They don't mention the vets in terms of them getting something. So I thought they treated the vets very shabbily, frankly, and I think that's a shame. We have to start taking care of our vets properly. But that wasn't brought up. Black Lives Matter, they asked a couple of the people, but when it got to Hillary, she never answered that question, which was very
yeah, we have a segment on that tonight, interestingly enough, later on in The Factor. Now, let's say you're debating Hillary Clinton. All right, so it's Trump, and I think you could charge for that one. I think you could charge money for that one. That could be like a Mayweather fight on pay-per-view. Are you going after her personally? Are you going to say, listen, your personal life and your controversies one after the other disqualify you for being president? Are you going to go that far?
Well, I think I'd certainly be talking about the emails. I don't know if I'd go totally personally, but I would be talking very strongly about the emails. You wouldn't see me doing what Bernie Sanders did last night and basically just say, hey, it's okay, we're tired of hearing about it. It's a very serious charge. People's lives have been destroyed over what happened. If you look at Petraeus, if you look at, so many other people, their lives have been destroyed for doing just a tiny fraction of what she did. So I would certainly go after that. I think the Democrats are, frankly, I think they're protecting her, whether it's the prosecutors
no
or whoever, but they
are
protecting her.
I think we have to wait before we convict Mrs. Clinton on television, as you just did, for the FBI to weigh in, because it is a serious investigation. We called for the FBI to do it. They stepped up, and they are doing it, so let's wait and see. But there's no question that throughout her career, Hillary Clinton has been involved with one after the other after the other. I want to know why she didn't respond to the emails that said security in Benghazi was terrible. And that's what, that's a pretty simple deal. Why did you ignore that? And we haven't gotten an answer to that.
You had that, and then you go back further into the career. You had Whitewater, and everybody thought that was going to be catastrophic, and they just basically they escaped with that one. I mean, there's a lot of things to go after. Nobody went after her last night, and I think, frankly, that maybe CNN, they could have been told not to do it. But when we were debating, they were asking, well, Mr. Trump, but there was a much different kind of a debate. They were saying, Mr. Trump, so-and-so said this. How do you respond? And, I'm talking about somebody to my right or to my left, and it was really like, they want to pit one against the other.
Yeah, the CNN.
No, but they didn't do that last night.
No, I know that.
They didn't do that last night.
So are you saying now that CNN was in the tank, that they made an editorial decision to be easier on Democrats than on Republicans? Is that what you're saying tonight?
Well, maybe the Democrats and, headed by whoever might be heading it, maybe they said this is the way we want it and we insist on doing it this way. I mean, frankly,
you think the
what
Democrats
they did with the
dictated to
Republicans
CNN? You think the Democrats told CNN what they were going to do? That's a pretty tough charge.
I think that's very possible. No,
really?
No, I don't think so. I mean, no, I don't see anything wrong with it even. I think they, look, the way they spoke with us, it was pitting one into the other. Everything was like, this one said that. How do you respond, Mr. Trump?
But there was more to work with there, though. There was more. You guys had been back and forth, so let's be fair about it. But your accusation, I don't know if maybe that's too strong a word, that the Democratic Party dictated terms of the debate to CNN, that's a pretty strong accusation.
It was a much different debate charge. If you look at what happened with us, and if you look at what happened, and by the way, I thought Anderson Cooper did an excellent job. But in that case, they were asking questions, they were given answers. In our case, it was like a reality show.
Right.
Okay, if you want to know the truth, and that's what happened. And frankly, I liked it, I enjoyed it, but it was a very different way of doing a debate.